And a welcome to the UFC, to the former LFA featherweight champion. We have Bruno the Tiger Souza looking to take on Melsik the Gun Baghdasaryan. Matt, as far as nicknames are concerned, one is incredibly aggressive and one is aggressive if provoked. Depends which way you want to take that one. I don't know. But when I look at this fight, we have a Melsik Baghdasaryan coming off of an incredibly impressive UFC debut. Giant knockout win over Anglin. Really proved the doubters. Proved yourself wrong with that fight, because for Melsik, the one knock against him, and I'll talk about all of the pros to the one con. Yes, he lost his debut fight by submission. A lot of people do that. Alex Pereira lost his first fight. Some things happen, and then you end up in the UFC, and you have less than 10 pro fights. It just happens. But for Melsik, when he took on Anglin, the big talking point was, okay, he's going to be able to strike with him. Can he defend the takedowns? And he didn't really have to worry about it all that much in that fight, because Anglin decided, well, I'm a striker now. So in that fight, Melsik, highlight reel knockout. Go find it wherever highlights are found. Now you have Bruno Souza coming into the UFC. Matt, this is a kid that's been practicing karate since the age of 4. He decided he was going to train at the Machida Academy at the age of 12.
You love it.
Now he's coming into here in his mid-20s, middle of 25, having a great day, having a great time, having fought some very good competition over with LFA. Now, did you think that he won all of his fights? I don't know. Some of them are close. The fight against Mike Hamill, where there's an illegal strike, Mike Hamill's probably winning that fight. Hey, he had a competitive fight against Adam Boric, so just simmer down a little bit. But when I look at Bruno Souza, and you want to talk about pure karate strikers, and I'm not going to throw out anything out there that's going to get me in any trouble, but this guy makes karate noises when he strikes that people like Wonderboy Thompson do not. But accolades and everything aside, I think this fight, style for style, I highly doubt that we see this one go to the mat.
I was going to say, I don't know what the over-under is for takedowns attempted, but it's probably like 0.5, I'd guess. Probably just 0, yeah. It is probably like a -1,000 for no takedown attempts. This should be a phenomenal fight. I remember how critical we both were on Melsik coming into his UFC debut. It was, yes, we love the flashy strikes, and that's what it was too. It wasn't just the fact that you could go in there and get knockouts. It was just the impressiveness in which those knockouts were coming by. Like, he was getting poster dunks every single time he was going out there. But how many times have we seen dangerous, flashy strikers come into the UFC, get fed to a wrestler immediately, and then that wrestler goes like 13 for 17 on takedown attempts, and they kind of destroy the hype. That's what my prediction was going off of in that fight. And I thought Baghdasaryan was going to have a very tough night out. Oh my goodness, he proved me wrong. And the great thing about Baghdasaryan that I did not think he was going to have at this level was he's got the good takedown defense footwork. It's not the fact that, he can dig underhooks like Alexander Volkov. It's the fact that he doesn't let his opponent get close enough to take him down in the first place. And that's the thing that I always love when we're looking at a guy who might have, let's say, suspect takedown defense. Well, you never really have to worry about how bad his takedown defense is if his opponent can't get close enough to put his hands around him. Now, that's not going to be a factor in this fight, but what I will say is that does speak to the range finding of Melsik and just his range capabilities throughout an MMA fight. I do think his ability to judge range with a wrestler is going to pay off against Bruno Souza, because what Bruno likes to do in a lot of his fights, like you had mentioned, he's a karate stylist. He likes to bounce on the outside quite a bit, and if Baghdasaryan can get that range very early and force Souza to just be jumping into range constantly, I think Melsik can pick him off quite easily throughout this fight. But the flip side is Souza might be able to evade a lot of those big power shots and then be able to throw his own combinations together.
It's really going to come down to who gets frustrated first and what do they do when it happens. Because for Baghdasaryan, and I will go through it, former international kickboxing champ with WLF, WLF Wars, who one prospect's great and one prospect has a couple of fights in the UFC or wherever they end up and they're gone. But he had a 3-0 pro boxing record, a 9-2 pro kickboxing record. His MMA record, it speaks for itself. I put it up there in the graphic, the fact that it's Armenia and the USA, but I really wanted to kind of give credit to both countries because originally he's from Armenia. He trains out of Glendale Fighting Systems or Fighting Club. And yes, he's been training with the Ronda Rouseys of the world for a very long time, since a very young age. Edmen Shahbazyan also on this card, so there's a little bit of familiarity there. And that's the thing, on this card, there are only a few different outliers, and obviously Bruno Souza being one of them that, hey, that's the one guy or the one gal that trains from that one singular gym. But to have the Weber Almeidas to train with every single day, Bellator prospect, to have Lyoto and his brother Chinzo Machida to train with and to learn from, absolute studs. And again, you look at the way that Bruno Souza fights, it's very long, it's very rangy. a lot of single shots and then a little bit of a reset. But what he will do is as he resets, if you lunge forward, he throws great counters, and you have to be very, very cognizant of that. But I'm not telling world-class strikers anything they don't know. They're probably not watching this video. But again, when I went through everything, I was just so kind of struck by how good these guys are at pure striking. And for Bruno Souza, let's give him the credit he deserves. He is a national, South American, and world karate champion. The last time he earned one of those world nods was back in 2015 when he was a much younger man. But again, you look at this overall, all around, you know, iffy takedown defense, very good striking, kickboxing versus karate. I think we have on paper a very fun matchup. I still don't know where either of these guys are going to go ceiling-wise because Melsik, has he won any giant titles in any big promotions? No, but for Bruno Souza, the other featherweight champs that LFA's had, and I'll list a few of them, Kevin Aguilar, he was around in the UFC for a bit, Thon Lee, Damon Jackson, Justin Gonzalez, and Bruno Souza. So listen, a lot of fun that you can have with a matchup like this. To me, if I'm breaking it down before I even talk about the odds, I think Melsik's the more aggressive fighter, and I don't necessarily know if that's going to get him in trouble here because Bruno Souza has power, for sure, 100%. I don't know if he has the fight-ending power to make Melsik pay when he comes in on those entries.
And I don't think he sets up his power shots effectively enough, because with Baghdasryan, he will set up his big shots with some of those pitter-patter strikes, and he will throw in combination. And when Baghdasryan's at his best, it's 1-2, then he throws the kick, and he does really like to set up his kicks. With Souza, he does sort of rely on the counter-striking capabilities of his hands, a little bit too much for my liking. I agree 100% with your aggressiveness point, too, about Baghdasryan. This fight should be a lot of him moving forward and Souza reacting to it. Now, if Souza is able to land a big counter shot, maybe he can put Melsik down. But I feel a lot more confident siding with the guy who is moving forward, throwing in combination with a really high volume throughout this fight. Because if Baghdasryan can just throw enough strikes together, that's normally when he can find his own power shot.
The odds on this one, Baghdasryan open to minus 185. He's minus 300 favorite right now. Little rich. Bruno Souza open a plus 160. He's a plus 236 over on best fight odds. Currently, the Topology votes are a surprise to us. They are to you. I'm going to say over under 75% Baghdasryan.
I was thinking 70, so yeah, under?
Wow. Yeah, over. 778 total votes, 81% Baghdasryan, 23% by decision, 70% by knockout. For the 19% that have Souza, 49% by decision, 29% by submission. For me, yeah, I like Baghdasryan in this fight. The thing that scared me the most as to his UFC debut was the fact that after the episode of Dana White's Contender Series that he won, and we'll talk about his opponent a little bit, it was Denis Bezukia, and he won that one by decision. Dana White didn't want to offer him a contract. He wanted to offer him another spot on Contender Series later on in the year, and he just kind of waited it out. And then he got a contract at the end of the spring, early summer, ended up in the UFC against Colin Anglin, a guy who had already been booked in his own big fight against Sungwoo Choi, but that fight fell out. So it was just a weird way of that one coming together. For Souza, it's that traditional path that we never see anymore of American regional champion. Have enough fights, you're in the UFC. And for Souza, and we didn't really talk about it either, the wins and the quality of wins. I thought Elijah Johns beat him in the split decision win that he has from 7 months ago. And then when he fought Javier Garcia, that was a good win. Even before the Johns fight, Guilherme Santos by knockout. And then before that, he beat Camuela Kirk by split decision in a weird fight because it kind of fought in mirrors in that one.
The good thing, though, is I would rather a guy win a close fight to Camuela Kirk than just blow the doors off people who we've never heard of. Like, Kirk, I would say, is a pretty good level of competition for the regional scene. I think there's a path to victory for Souza. I think we should just lay that out quick. If he can make Baghdasryan miss enough early and really frustrate him, then he should be able to land a big shot of his own because he does move so well on the feet. And that's going to be the big key for Baghdasryan. If he throws leg kicks early, he should be able to slow down a lot of that movement from Souza, and that should open up his own combinations. But let's say Souza does just stay on his back foot, stay on his bike really early in this fight, kind of fight that Caitlin Chukagian game plan. I never thought I'd say that in a million years. Then he could have success later on in this matchup. I just really like the volume and the output from Baghdasryan.
Both of us going with the American citizen, Melsik Baghdasaryan, to get the win. Let us know down below who you have in this battle of extremely pure strikers. It should be a great one. Big time fights up at the top. Gaethje, Chandler, 2 rematches for the belts. You're not going to want to miss this. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say, let's get into it.